Hi guys, today we are taking a proportions test. Before you begin, we will briefly review the 3 different types of problems that you will see on your test today. You will see questions where you have 2 ratios and you need to determine if the 2 ratios are proportional or not proportional. So remember, to solve these problems, we will cross multiply and see if the 2 products are the same answer. In our problem on the left, we will cross multiply 4 times 30, and we get 120. And we will cross multiply 3 times 20, and we get 60. 60 does not equal 120, so these 2 ratios are not proportional. In our problem on the right, if we cross multiply 3 times 12, we get 36, and we cross multiply 2 times 18, we get 36 as well. 36 equals 36, so these 2 ratios are proportional. The second type of question you will see on your test today are where you're given a proportion and you need to solve for the missing variable. To solve these questions, we will cross multiply, write an equation, and divide on both sides of the equation to get x by itself. In our problem on the left, we see 2 to 24 equals x to 36. I will cross multiply 24 times x equals, and cross multiply 36 times 2, and we get 72 on the right. Now that we've written our equation, we will divide on both sides to get our variable x by itself. So I will divide by 24 on the left-hand side and divide by 24 on the right-hand side of my equation. When I do, the 2 24s on the left are going to cancel each other out. They become 1, and we have x by itself. When I divide 72 divided by 24, I get 3. So x equals 3. In my problem on the right, I will again cross multiply to create an equation. I'll cross multiply 8 times x, and that equals 4 times 3, which is 12. I will divide on both sides of my equation by 8 to get x by itself. The 2 8s on the left are going to cancel each other out, and they become 1. So x is by itself. And when I divide 12 divided by 8, I get 1 5/10. X equals 1 5/10. The third type of question you will see on your test today are word problem questions. For these questions, we will first need to write a unit fraction, our fraction with our words. So for our first problem, we see Micah can eat 21 carrots in 6 minutes. Our 2 units are carrots and minutes. She wants to know how many minutes, M, it would take her to eat 35 carrots so she can keep up the same pace. I'm going to write minutes in my denominator because it's a unit of time. And I'll write carrots in my numerator. Now that I've written a unit fraction, I'm going to set up my proportion. I'll draw my 2 fraction bars and my equal sign in between. It says Micah can eat 21 carrots in 6 minutes. She wants to know how many minutes, M, it would take her to eat 35 carrots. So I've set up my proportion, and next I need to cross multiply and write an equation. I'll multiply 21 times M, and that equals 6 times 35. 6 times 35 is 210. Next, I will divide both sides of my equation by 21. This will help me get my variable M by itself. The two 21s on the left are going to cancel each other out. And we're left with just M. 210 divided by 21 is 10. So it would take Micah 10 minutes to eat 35 carrots. For your word problems, we need to make sure that we have 5 pieces of information. We need to make sure that we have our unit fraction, carrots over minutes. We've written our proportion. We've written an equation. We've divided on both sides of the equation to get our variable by itself. And we've written our answer with our units. Our next problem says Mary reduced the size of a painting to a width of 3 inches. What is the new height if it was originally 32 inches tall and 40 inches wide? So I have inches for both of my units, so I need to be more specific when I'm writing my unit fraction. So I will have inches tall over inches wide. Next, I will set up my proportion. I'll draw my 2 fraction bars and my equal sign in between. It says the height was originally 32 inches tall and 40 inches wide. And then she reduced the size of her painting to a width of 3 inches. So I'm going to make sure I write 3 in the denominator because my unit for my denominator is inches wide. We don't know what the reduced height is of our painting. Now that I've set up my proportion, I will cross multiply and solve. 40 times x equals 32 times 3, which is 96. Now that I've written an equation, I will divide on both sides to get x by itself. I will divide by 40 on the left and divide by 40 on the right. The two 40s on the left will cancel each other out, and we're left with just x. And when we divide 96 divided by 40, we get 2 4/10. The unit for my answer that I was looking for was inches tall, so I will add inches tall to my answer. The painting was reduced to be 2 4/10 inches tall. For this word problem, I have written my unit fraction. I've written a proportion, I've written my equation, I've divided on both sides of my equation to get x by itself, and I've written my answer with my units. Next, you will begin your proportions test. Remember to show all of your work to receive full credit. If you have a word problem, remember to write a unit fraction first, then set up your proportion. On all problems, remember to cross multiply and write an equation, and then divide on both sides to solve for the variable. If you have a word problem, remember when you're writing your answer to write your answer with the unit included. You may now begin your proportions test.